Danny Worsnop finally responded after getting all the heat from his terrible set during Warped Tour. The Asking Alexandria arc continues. You know me, I want to keep y'all in the loop. I want to give you guys the news, but it's tough to ignore that I'm like milking this situation, milking it drier than your mama's titties. But it's fine. I'm here to provide the slop. We have to eat. It is what it is. Now here's a 10-second recap. Asking Alexandria played a terrible set during Warped Tour. The internet clowned them. Dennis Stoff, the ex-vocalist of the band, came out of the woodworks blaming them, or sorry, not blaming them, saying that they owe him $10 million for some reason, and then mentioned he would never pick the mic up for them again, even though no one asked. Then after all of that, you guys click the link in description to join the Discord, because my Discord server is filled with people like you and I that are into cool music and gaming. Go ahead and join it. I'll talk to you there. Now, mind you, this Warped Tour set was almost exactly a month ago now, and yesterday Danny finally decided to respond to the criticism, not necessarily by choice. So basically, Danny hopped on this podcast called Late for Loaded, this one right here, and the host directly asked him, like, yo, what's your perspective? How did things go down in your eyes during the Warped Tour set? You guys got a lot of heat for it. And Danny did exactly that. He explained everything. Now, in the podcast, Danny also mentioned that the band didn't want him to talk about it because they're worried that he'd get more hate and that things would get taken out of context, X, Y, and Z. So with that in mind, instead of giving you guys a TLDR, which is what I typically do, let's just go ahead and watch and react to it. But the first link in the description will be this episode. So go ahead, support the guys, go watch the podcast in full, subscribe to them. With all of that in mind, let's go ahead and watch.
All the scrutiny and shit that you're under currently, can you explain that from your perspective?
Yeah, I can, and it's easy. I'll preface. I'm going to do two things. Me being self-aware. I have this thing where apparently, sometimes I say things and they come across and I word things, or maybe it's just the way my face looks or my tone of voice, and they sound like I'm being shitty and patronizing. And I promise, if I have
that same problem.
If I say anything and I mean it to be shitty, I'll say it's shitty. So
have
anyone
the same
listening
problem.
going, wow, he's so fucking pretentious. I swear that's not the intention in my heart when I say this stuff. I'll start by saying I feel bad about the show that everyone's upset about. It was Warped Tour DC. I feel bad about it, but not for the reason they want me to be. I feel bad because people were given a very, very, very poor representation of the show, and a very inaccurate one, and that it was completely out of our control. And I feel very bad that they got that, because in reality...
Okay, well, keep in mind, the reason why people were upset during the set is because Danny, his vocal performance was pretty bad. Like, he did not pull off the dirty vocals like he should be. And him off the bat saying it's not in his control, something like that is, right? We're gonna hear him out, see what wasn't in the band's control, but having a poor vocal performance, that is in your control. The other thing people were upset about were the backing tracks. A lot of people pointed out that, yeah, there's backtracks, and Danny's just like pulling off, being lazy, not singing parts, letting the backtracks carry and whatnot. So
it was a really good show, and I was on stage jumping, running around. I don't even run anymore, but I was jumping, running around.
I don't know how true that is, because I watched the whole set and he was definitely active, but I don't remember him running around or nothing, or jumping around.
I did a couple live screams. I don't scream anymore. It messes my throat up. In my head, I was having an internal conversation with myself, and I literally said to myself, I was like, this is going to shut people up. It didn't. Spoiler alert.
That's got to make all this sting so much more too.
I was so another ego death right there. I was like, they're gonna have nothing to complain about. This is great. And then, yeah, clearly people did not share that same sentiment. So the events that led up to that show, the band's front of house sound guy and monitor sound guy both quit before that tour. Still speak to both of them, wonderful people. It wasn't a good fit. They were new the tour before, it wasn't the right pairing. Yeah, they left right before, and there were pieces of equipment of theirs that they took with them. It was theirs. We didn't know about. So we went on, and the show started, and no one can hear anything. In my ears, the entire show, and everyone, had click track. That's how we keep in time. I'm gonna say some things that are gonna be so redundant to half the people listening, but other people might not be aware. So I'm gonna go into it. Just click track. That's what we know we're doing. It's a cowbell. It just keeps us in time. I hear that really loud. I hear the kick drum, and I hear my vocal all blaring loud, nothing else. So I'm playing guesswork the whole time on whatever else is happening. Everyone else had the exact same thing, and no one could figure out what the problem was. So everyone, I'm going to bounce around a little bit. Everyone's running around on stage furious. Sam especially gets very upset with those things, and he has a face where if he's having a good show, he looks like he's mad.
It's funny that he mentioned and pointed out Sam specifically, the only one that responded to the whole controversy. And if I responded, I mean, he just posted on his story, "I'm sorry." That's all he posted in response to the band's like poor performance.
So when he is mad about something, it looks like someone just kicked him in the penis. And everyone's been speculating about what they're mad about and if they couldn't hear anything. And out front, I guess there was a similar issue. So it wasn't easy to do the show in the first place. I also had a sinus infection, but I'm not going to make excuses the whole time. And then we weren't in control of anything that went to the stream. The show went great considering the hand we were dealt. There were...
Off the bat, I know he just said he's not making excuses, but he kind of is. Like, how many times have you played this song before? Right? Not to say that you don't need a metronome, not to say you don't need, like, I don't know. In my head, if you've played these songs so many times, like, wouldn't you naturally be tight at playing them, right? Playing these songs every single day, even if it's only once, right? Like, for years, you should be pretty good. I mean, you know what? Maybe I will say, maybe you don't need a click track. Maybe you don't need a metronome, right? Like, by this point, it should be nature to be able to kill the songs that you're playing every night. So him, like, off the bat, like, blaming technical issues, like, I get it if you're used to that, and I understand that maybe you as a unit, maybe you do need that. Maybe you do require a little more practice to play without it, maybe, but again, like, I feel like he's setting this up as technical issues when it wasn't. Again, it was just his voice.
We'll call it 20,000 people there, and there was a 15-minute encore, people having a wonderful time wanting us to continue playing songs. I thought it was great. Get off, fast forward to the next day, the stream that went out it had live drums, it had my vocal with no processing. I hate to say it, but there are very few singers on this planet that sound good with no processing, because microphones and just a blank DI aren't flattering to
Well,
anyone.
it's also not what he's used to listening to these
No,
days.
it's very just there. It's abrasive. Now, a big part of that is I'm very dynamic. I get very loud and very quiet. So at some parts, you just hear me and nothing else. Other parts, you can't hear me at all. So that's jarring. And then you hear live drums and nothing else. They couldn't hear live guitars because they weren't on. They don't hear live bass because it wasn't on. They hear backing track guitars, which there are live guitars, but they're backing guitars because there's only one guitar player. There are backing vocals, aka vocal tracks, vocal backing tracks, not lip syncing, vocal backing tracks, because no one in the band can sing. Ben did all of that part, and then he's not there. I only have one mouth. There are harmonies, there are lines that overlap, the stuff in the backing tracks. I don't love them, but it's a necessary evil. And
I personally don't care for backing tracks. If you have them, sure. But it's one thing to have them and let it carry, and another thing for it, like he's saying, like, they need it for harmonies. Maybe you have one guitarist and you need that second guitar. Like, I know there's bands that go on tour that only have 3 members, right? A vocalist, a guitarist, and a drummer. Who's gonna play bass? The backing tracks, right? Like I get it, and I don't think backing tracks is the end of the world. It's just, don't let it carry. You know what I mean? Like, if the backing track is doing most of the work for the band, why are we paying money to watch you play live if you're letting the backing tracks do its thing? You know what I mean?
they were way too loud. So I understand people hearing it and going like, well, this is bullshit, it's all vocal backing tracks. Not knowing how that stuff works, I would feel the exact same way. So they were just given a very bad representation of the show, and that combined with what I am speculating to be a very lazy camera guy.
But also, again, during I watched the stream, I don't think the backing tracks was too loud. I think it was mixed pretty fairly. Like, you could definitely tell what was coming out of his lips and what wasn't. So I don't know. It really does sound like he's trying to make excuses.
It was just given a very bad representation of the show, and that combined with what I am speculating to be a very lazy camera guy, who, while I am running around jumping, being very enthusiastic, he was like, I'm not tracking this, and just waiting till I stood still. He's like, okay, now I'll film him.
I don't mean to be a pause Andy, but I want to add commentary here and there. Maybe he's right about the cameraman, because again, after watching the set, I don't feel like he was like this fucking ball of energy like he's claiming he is. But I could be wrong. Wasn't there also like a camera to capture the whole stage? I don't expect the set to be just that one camera the whole time. But again, I feel like he's just piling on excuses, man.
So just a combination of things that just really didn't give the people watching the live stream a positive experience at all. So I feel bad about that, and it's out of our control, but nonetheless, I'm very sorry that they had that experience. Was it the best show of my life? No. The jumping around and running around I'm not the most athletic person in the world. It tired me out quick. And then doing some live streams, which fucks my throat up. Yeah, that didn't help either. And then not being able to hear anything. It was a recipe for disaster, and did the best.
So yeah, now he's saying that like because he was running around, because he was doing this, that, and the third, and he's already like, and screaming fucks up his voice. It's a combination of him not like self-admitting he can't scream that well. He has to use a specific technique to not hurt his voice. I'm assuming that that's the information I'm getting from what he's saying. On top of him just like being tired from running around, which that's what I figured, that like screaming fucks up his voice. That's what I said in a previous video, that he probably just can't scream like he used to because you know, he's doing like this country stuff that he needs a pretty voice for, so he can't afford to ruin his voice. But I feel like if you have like specific screaming techniques, your voice won't get ruined. I think he just has to learn that bit. But I don't think him being tired has to do with anything, because also in the last video we went back to look at previous sets from earlier this year, and he sounded exactly the same. Unless he was like a big ball of energy during that set too, and the one before that, and the one before that, right? I think again that kind of proves that he's just making excuses.
Good, but yeah, I think most of the hate, and I'll point out, and people aren't going to be a fan of this, but I out of curiosity went, because this isn't, I'm not losing any sleep over it. I'm not going to be bullied on the internet by people. I'm a grown adult.
Now I did want to make a comment there too. Again, sorry for being a pause, Andy. I want to make it very clear that my intentions is never to bully anyone, right? Like, I don't think I'm personally being a bully. It's just like, I'm just giving criticism and commentary on what's going down. I'm just being a source of news and giving my thoughts. Like, I'm not over here, fucking saying that Danny is like a piece of shit for sounding like shit, right? I don't think he's a fucking scumbag for sounding like shit. But I think it's okay to say, hey, yeah, you don't sound great. You do sound like shit. Maybe it is time to retire if this isn't for you anymore, right? I don't think that's bullying. But if you look on Reddit, if you look on Twitter, motherfuckers do be bullying. I do feel bad for him.
There was at one point, we were about a week and a half in from this happening, and there were, and I counted, assuming that it was, people only posted a negative comment one time, so everyone was a unique person, because I just hide them, because my social media isn't Tyler Village Square. There were almost 50. There were almost 50 comments. So there aren't actually that many. It's just very loud. And, you know, it's not cool to read, but I try and look past it. So it's a small minority, but they are upset and loud. And I think a lot of it is people who, they've wanted me or the band to be one way. And I understand why. They love it, and it's a big part of their lives, and they want to recapture that part of their life back through that music. But the reality is I'm not that person, and I'm never going to be, and I don't want to be. And I don't mean for that to be any kind of offense to them. I always hope people don't take it that way. But I have to be true to myself, and the band has to be true to itself. And we've talked extensively about it since about 2013. And before then, anytime someone's like, the metal band, every single time we say, we're just a rock and roll band. Right. We might be louder than other ones, but we're just a rock and roll band.
So basically what he's saying there is like, you know, you guys probably love us for the past, for our first two records, our first two crabcore shits that everyone knows us and loves us for. Unfortunately, you're never getting that back. We will never be those kids again. We will never sound like that again. And it is what it is. It's a tough pill to swallow, but we're moving forward. We're moving past that. And he follows up by saying like, yeah, we're a rock and roll band. We're not a metal band. That's arguable, right? Like before watching this, I listened to Dark Void, and that's metalcore, brother. That's metalcore. If you don't want to be a metal band anymore, if you want to move past that, if you want to like, you know, do softer shit or things that are more appealing to you and your project, that's perfectly fine. But then put out music that actually does that, right? There are screams. Again, I listened to the Dark Void. I listened to Nothing Left and a Dark Void. It was like a little EP they did last year. There was a lot of screaming involved, right? If you don't want to scream anymore, then don't scream. Like, yeah, you might get a little bit of shit for it if you release something that's not like metalcore or whatever. Like, people might not like it, but at the end of the day, it's your project. You do whatever you want, right? And I think if they want to retire those albums, if they want to retire like the songs they're known for, like in a live setting, that's perfectly fine. You could hang that up and call it a day, and then maybe like do special tours here and there, like, oh yeah, this tour we're playing these songs, this tour we're playing these songs. It's just like you got to communicate with the audience, because I don't know, it's like, again, if most people know you for these songs and are expecting you to play these songs, you gotta, like, I feel like out of respect, you gotta play them well. You know what I'm saying? And if you don't want to do that, you don't want to play them well, it's okay to be like, guys, you know, like, we love you for supporting us and we love this music, but unfortunately we got to move past it. Danny's voice is getting fucked up from it. The band is tired of playing it. That's perfectly fine. There's huge bands that are tired. Like, I'm pretty sure Haley Williams and Brandon Urin. Yeah, I said Urin. Fuck that guy. They retired some songs that they're tired of playing, right? Like, it's okay. People aren't offended if you do that. Will it damage ticket sales? Probably. But that's when you wait for the 20-year anniversary to roll around for that album, and then you just play some songs off of it. You know what I mean? This is unfortunately the result of a band forcing themselves to do something they don't want to do. I've said it before, like, if a band wants to switch genres, that's perfectly fine. Do your thing. You'll find an audience for that genre. But the issue is, if a band feels forced to, let's say they're a metalcore band, if a band feels forced to continue doing metalcore because that's what their audience wants, we're going to get lackluster results. We're going to get results that are super shitty, right? We're going to get a very bad metalcore EP, album, record, whatever, and everyone's going to be upset because there's no love and passion for that genre anymore. If a band's passion is going towards something else, I think we should encourage that and let the band do what they love, right? They gave us a banger metalcore album. What if they want to go reggae, right? Or some dumb shit. Like, I'm not saying reggae is a dumb genre, but some like random shit, right? Let's say we want to go reggae. Well, who knows? Maybe they'll give us the best reggae album of all time because that's where their passion is right now. It may not be for you, but there is going to be an audience that's in love with it, right? And yeah, I'd rather them do something they love and get and release a good product in that field rather than being forced to do something that they don't want to do, and I would just get something extremely shitty.
In like 2013, the band made a conscious effort of like, hey, we're going into the rock space. And people want to turn back the clock on that, but it's never been something that hasn't been happening. And people are upset about that. I think people expected something else from Warped Tour. They expected us to go in and play a bunch of old songs and stuff, but it's not a reality of something that I can reproduce. And I'm 34 now, I'm not 17. And I've suffered multiple like big damages to my voice. And there was a period in time where I tried to do that stuff again, and it was just very damaging. And I'm not willing to risk my voice like that. And the guys,
now here he's like mentioning things that we already speculated, including age. And I mentioned that in my past video that like, yeah, he's getting older. Maybe he just don't got it no more. And then I got comments that, you know, of people saying like, well, age shouldn't be an excuse because we got people double his age that are still killing it on stage, doing screams, doing dirty vocals, right? And I agree that like age doesn't play a big part. But I think it's a marriage of age and lack of passion and just trying to move forward from doing dirty vocals, right? Like he wants to treat his voice a specific way to benefit his country singing, his rock singing, whatever. And again, I don't, maybe I'm missing something, but I don't think they put out rock albums. I don't know.
the guys don't want me to. So this isn't like they're held captive by this. So I understand people's disappointment, but at the same time, this has kind of been a thing for a while. And ultimately, what it comes down, because the band asked me to not talk about any of this at all in any capacity, but I was like, this is bleeding into my personal life and my other businesses. I have to address it. Sure. And they did forewarn me even today. James was like, just know, anything and everything you say is going to be taken out of context and I'm going to twist it to be mad at you even more. I was like, probably.
such is the internet.
I know. Time will tell whether this is a good idea or not.
I mean,
but yeah.
I will go ahead and corroborate the live live feed mix thing being out of your control.
So it sounds like this guy is like agreeing with Danny with the whole live stream thing, but it has nothing to do with the live stream, dude. Like, it has nothing to do with the mixing of the live. It has nothing to do with any of that. What it has to do with is Danny sounding bad. It has to do, whatever came out of his voice, that's where the criticism is. It has nothing to do with the mixing of the live stream. And I think, unfortunately, they're kind of like there's a track here that they're going on and they're trying to derail the track into making the issue something else, putting the blame on something else that has nothing to do with the actual issue.
Like, I can totally see how what you're saying is exactly what happened. Like, that totally would make total sense to me.
And now, listen, then after all this happened, because during the show, I was like, this is going really well. After all, I was like, the first thing I did was find a stream of it and watch the entire thing. And I wrote out critique notes of the entire thing. And there's always, but there's a bunch that I was like, I fucked that up. That could have been better. I didn't have the power here. I was out of breath here. And that wasn't good. So I did a critique of it, but ultimately I was like, I mean, it sounded shit. I'm very angry about how it sounded. But this doesn't feel like something that is newsworthy.
Sure. But dude, isn't that every show?
There's always something that goes wrong.
That's what I'm saying. I don't play shows, but like, fuck, man. That's the part of the difference between live and recorded.
Yes.
Recorded, you can go back and fix everything and make it perfect.
Yes.
Live is live.
You get one take, and
You get one take all the way through.
Yep.
I'm as human as they come, and I have some great days. I've a lot, or sometimes even more bad days, and it's, you kind of just gotta deal with what you're dealt. We do our best, and people do use backing tracks, and then people apply that to they see a bad show, and it makes that bad show worse. But the other bit with the backing tracks, I'll be the first. I don't hide it. The screams in the show are on backing tracks, and then people are like, oh, he's lip syncing them, and sometimes he's not even trying to lip sync. I'm like, I'm never trying to lip sync it. I have far too much respect for the people I don't like and their intelligence level, and to try and trick them into thinking that's happening. I'm also very aware that if I tried, I'd mess it up. I'd have the microphone not from my mouth when it happens, and it'd be way too obvious. I don't think people are so stupid that they believe it. I'm purposely making it obvious because I'm not trying to deceive people. I can't do that anymore. It's a small part of those songs, so it's in there so that it's there. 90% of the time, I'm doing other stuff with it at the same time. But yeah, that's just a thing I wanted to address so that people were aware of. That was my intention with that. It was supposed to read like a respectful thing, and apparently it didn't come across that way. But
So there he mentions, I put the mic down purposefully when it comes to specific screams I can't do anymore out of respect for the audience, right? Like I respect them enough to not deceive them and have them believe that I'm doing these like crazy screams that I just can't do anymore. But yeah, take that how you will. I see what he's trying to say. Like, he doesn't want to lie to the audience. He doesn't want to set specific expectations and make us think that, yeah, like, where this is, I could still sound like how I did when I was 17, right? But I feel like that does lead back to lack of communication, like how we said before. But the thing is, I don't know what I would do on his end. Like, if I can't do those screams anymore and I want people to see I can't do those screams anymore, like, would you communicate through Twitter and say, hey, just so you guys know, I purposefully like use backing tracks for screams I can no longer do, and that causes a ruckus, right? Like, people will be like, oh, what the fuck, blah, 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 and it'll probably get shit for it. So I don't know what I would do if I was Danny. I really don't. But the route he chose has not been too good for him, unfortunately. But we'll end it there. I'm pretty sure that was that for that conversation. Like, sub, tell me what you think about the whole thing. Again, go watch their video. First link in the description. Make sure you go ahead and check it out. And click right here, because yesterday we spoke about a tiny local band that completely destroyed a venue. And they got some shit for it, man. Let me tell you.